I'm recording this video to say thank you to Naya Rivera for being an amazing human being, essentially. Okay, the end. No. That's really all I have to say, and pretty much people know why, I would think, if you know who she is at all. Um, but she'll probably never see this, so I'm doing it more for me than for her. But I feel like I need to express my gratitude towards her, um, for portraying, you know, the awesome teenage lesbian Santana Lopez, um, and just for first of all for just doing her job and doing it extremely well, um, because her job has changed my life, you know, immensely. I honestly don't know where I would be right now if I didn't watch Glee. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been watching it since the beginning, but since she was on, the back nine of season two through season three, the way that her character progressed, the character arc that she had from, all the way, if you start even from the duets episode and she was like in with Brittany, necking on the bed or whatever, and like to like the Hurt Locker scene through the end of the season, through her whole coming out process. Like, so I'd say, good 2 years. I watched Glee religiously every Tuesday and was a huge fan, especially when I figured out that they were gonna attempt to put them together, see what happens with that. So obviously my interest was piqued since I am a lesbian, and I was kind of unprepared for all the feelings that Santana's storyline would bring up in my life. Um, things that I thought I had already resolved within myself definitely were not resolved. And that was never more evident until we came to the episode Sexy, when Miss Holiday, has her little secret sharing circle thing, and then we get the Hurt Locker out of that episode. Um, I was, I couldn't, I think I was so shocked, that Santana, I was giddy with happiness that Santana was, oh my god, actually gonna tell Brittany, and like, I didn't know what was happening, and usually I'm one of those insane people that reads all the spoilers, but I didn't specifically, for some reason, know what was going to happen in that episode, and I thoroughly always enjoy when Holly Holiday was there. Gwyneth does a great job, so I think I just wanted to enjoy the whole episode and not think about what was going to happen next. So when I heard Landslide, which is like one of my favorite songs of all time, probably top five, and that they were singing it and they were doing the Dixie Chicks version of the song as opposed to the Fleetwood Mac version, um, I was crying, like literally, I was crying when I just heard the song, and like I actually just learned the backstory of that song, why Stevie Nicks wrote it, and then relaying that to what Santana was going through, and using that song to express how she felt about Britney. Like, my God, like the words were never more powerful to me of the song, which is an amazingly beautiful song, And then like as soon as it happens, and Rachel snaps and says like whatever she says about sapphic expression or whatever, and like right away Santana closes back down. So I thought that would be it for that episode. Like, okay, well she says that, and then that's it. That's the end of it. I didn't know that there's gonna be the Hurt Locker scene at all. And so when that all happens, and like Santana is like trying to keep it together, and then she just kind of breaks down finally, and like says like leads up to her line like that she has to admit that she loves her, and like, oh my God, my heart was slayed when she said that. Like, because that's basically how, well, at least for me, that's how I felt. I felt when I acknowledged that I had feelings for a girl, and I was 20, oh yeah, 20, 21? 20, around that time, right? I was about to turn 21, literally. It was like right by my birthday. And like, I had all these feelings that I couldn't understand, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, and I didn't understand what it was, and that's how I felt. I felt like, oh my God, the looks on the stairs. Like, I have a big scarlet, like, L, like, on my head, like, literally, like, saying that I'm lesbian. Or even a G, that I was gay. Or, like, that I even liked a girl. Like, I blew it all out of proportion, and I knew how Santana felt. Because that's why, she said, like, that's why I'm a bitch all the time. I think for me, I hid behind a lot of things to mask that, I just never acknowledged the fact that I never had a real boyfriend. So when I had feelings or developed first a crush or feelings on this for this girl, I totally know how Santana felt. You know, that she said all the things she said were true. That's how I felt. Like, what are about the looks and the stares and everything? Because mind you, this was 1990, no, 2001. 2001 when this happened, not that long ago, but you know, acceptance from then until now has come a really long way. And so I just felt every word that Santana said to Brittany so 100%. Like, and like the phrase that got me the most is when she said, you know, but still I have to accept the fact that I love you. I love you, and I don't love Finn or Sam or any of those other guys. You know, like I want you, and I love you, and then like the like nail in the coffin was when she basically choked out, like, please say you love me back, please. Like, oh my God, like those words. Who wrote that episode? I can't remember. Probably Brad wrote it because he was the one who was pushing for Santini Britannia to happen. So I'm thinking he's the one who wrote that episode. Like, oh God, like that was just heartbreaking to hear because that's basically how I felt and how I told her. Um, the first love of my life. Her name was Jess. And Jess pretty much acted exactly how Brittany reacted. Like, of course I love you. That's really, she told me literally exactly what Brittany said. Well, like, questioning, like, why would you think I wouldn't love you? Of course I love you. You know, and she basically, but then she let me down easy. Well, Brittany didn't really let Santana down easy, saying she was with Artie and she loved him too. But my first love basically was like, I love you and I'm flattered, but I'm not gay. And so in my head at the time, like that was enough to hear it, like because I needed to move on or I couldn't process past the fact that I liked a girl, let alone the label of being gay or lesbian. Um, but you know, then if that's true and she was single, single, single the whole time that we were doing this little dance that we were doing, whatever it's called. I mean, basically we were pretty much together all the time, acting like a couple, but weren't acknowledging it that we were a couple, I guess, if that makes sense. But I go on spring break 1 week, she goes on her spring break the next week. We both come back to school 2 weeks later, and suddenly she has a boyfriend. Like, out of nowhere, has a boyfriend that she met on spring break, and that he was going to come visit her 3 weeks after I basically told her how I felt. So I think I was so wrapped up in dealing with the ramifications of acknowledging the fact that I like a girl, and what does that mean? Does that really mean I'm gay? Does that mean I'm lesbian? Does that mean it's just her? Kind of, I had so many other things spinning on in my head that I couldn't see the fact that maybe she did that because she was scared herself, and that getting a boy was the quickest way to prove that she wasn't gay. Yeah, I couldn't see that. Which she ended up actually moving in with this guy after college, so I honestly have no idea if they're still together. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they are. I definitely think that she's married with kids. But anyway, this is besides the point. What I'm trying to say is that I obviously relate to Santana in this scenario because I see my first love as Brittany. And like I totally understand how scary that is. And I feel like Naya Rivera played it. Like I couldn't even imagine anybody else playing the role or as doing the job that she did. Her and Heather Morse together just had like this insane chemistry together, and that scene was pitch perfect. Like all of it, the way that they acted and whatever, even the edits that they did, because I've seen that scene so many times, were were pretty seamless. I mean, they've done some choppy jobs in some episodes, but it was pretty good. Pretty, it was I could tell when they stopped editing certain things, but I mean, from a whole perspective, like if you're just one viewer watching it once, like it was pretty seamless. And so from that episode moving forward, like I mean, I was shocked at that episode. I couldn't even believe that happened. And then, we didn't really get that much interaction between them after that. Like Santana was pissed, got with Sam, or wrote Trouty Mouth, and then they had the conclusion at the end of Nationals in New York, and Brittany gave her a lovely speech at the end, like that she loved Santana more than she loved anybody else in the world, and because of that, she knew that they were like going to be okay, and then they left for summer. So starting when this season started up, and well, we all knew that it was real, that Santana really was a lesbian. She wasn't playing games or, like Brittany's more like bisexual, I guess. Like she really was a lesbian, and this season they were going to explore it more. Um, And so like everybody kept waiting. What was gonna happen? What was gonna happen? Were they together over the summer? Did they hook up? Whatever. And so we got the 2 episodes. We got Mash Off and we got I Kissed a Girl. Um, so again, like I'm not gonna go on the ranting rave of how I think I Kissed a Girl was horrible because this is not the point of this video. Um, that's like broad strokes of why it was horrible. Finn outed her, and then he in Mash Off in the hallway. And nobody deserves that, no matter if they're such a like. I mean, Santana was pretty much a bully to everybody and was a bitch, but nobody deserves that. And then that he spent the whole. I mean, the whole premise of I Kissed a Girl was just completely off and offensive to like the entire, I think, gay, lesbian, like any community where you get outed. It was just the fact that he took it upon himself to basically help force her out even more, and then made it about him and how he felt. Like I feel like they just could have written it way better. The way that it was just wrong. Like, the fact that he was like, how I would feel if I knew you did something and I couldn't do anything to prevent it. Like, dude, just talk about the Trevor Project and how, like, I watched a video and, those, it gets better and blah, 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 blah. Like, don't bring it back to yourself and how I slept with you or you were my first and it means something to me. Like, it just, oh god, it just made me feel like I wanted to vomit when he said that. And I feel like his heart was in the right place. He wanted to make it better, or he realizes that he was an ass for outing Santana. But like the writers could have not written it. Like freaking Matt Hudson for writing that episode. What the f? Seriously. Like now that you're dating Naya, like how could you write stuff like that and not do some research when you have like so many gay and lesbian people in that freaking room? I mean, hi, you have Ryan Murphy, you have Dot Marie, you have Jane Lynch, you have Chris Colfer, and then I think I forgot which writer is gay or lesbian or whatever. Like you have all these freaking people. Like and you didn't like I don't know how that script got through all of those people and they all said it was fine to do it that way. But again, I'm getting off topic. Sorry, I tend to do that a lot. Um those 2 episodes were like brilliant. Like like Masha for sure was like I think one of the best episodes of Glee that I've seen. And believe me, I've seen all the episodes of Glee many, 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 many times. And like just the even though like yes, Finn outed her and everything, but like just the way that Naya you acted in that episode, and then how you carried it throughout the rest of the season, um, it's very subtle and like I remember you reading the Hollywood Reporter um interview that you did, and like I think when the interview asked like how did you transition like from playing like bitchy bully Santana, and then how did once you came out, how did your interaction change with everybody else? And you said that you had to like play it off subtle, like how you interacted with the boys after you came out was different. Well, obviously it was different because it's like you saw teenage boys as like a pawn in your game to get power in the school, right? So like sleeping around wasn't a big deal. Like sex wasn't a big deal with them because you didn't care about them, you didn't love them. But sex with Brittany was different because it had you had feelings for her. And I just feel like I don't know the subtle like I just think that your range as an actress was tested through the whole, you know, your whole since you've been on Glee, since you started on Glee 3 years ago, 4 years, what is it, 3 years ago? Yeah, and like I remember watching you in the pilot, and you literally had like 2 scenes in it. Like there's one where you're like you say like there's like one where you're just right next to Quinn, and you're just kind of there, and then the other time is when the kids are singing "Don't Stop Believing," and you're standing on the balcony in the bleachers with Sue and then Quinn and then you, because Brittany wasn't considered part of the unholy trinity yet. She wasn't there yet, I think, if I could remember correctly. It wasn't until Quinn decided to try out for New Directions that Brittany came or was put. You guys, all 3 of you were put together. I think that Brittany was in one of the scenes for the celibacy club or abstinence club or whatever in that pilot episode, but she wasn't actually. We wouldn't see all 3 of you together until you performed "Say a Little Prayer for You" as part of the unholy trinity. Um, so anyway, my point being is that like you just blew my mind away because I mean I don't think nobody knew that from those two little interactions that you had in the pilot episode that your character would become who she is right now. And a lot of it has to do obviously with you. I mean, yes, it has to do with the costume designers and how they make well and what they make you wear and the writers obviously because they give you the words and what to say. But your job as an actress is to make those words on the page come to life and the way that you've done it with through your acting ability and then through the songs that were chosen to showcase your talent, you know, and the dancing, like everything. Like it's just amazing. You're an amazing person and I just want to take this time to say thank you. Like thank you from me for saving my life. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I went through a really hard time last year and Glee was like that 1 hour in a week that I could escape it, and like I used that hour to completely escape from everything that was getting me down. Especially with those episodes, because I still struggle with internalized homophobia and all that kind of stuff, and I still struggle with really being gay and being open and honest about it. And you know, Santana gave me a lot of courage. Um, you know, she helped me kind of revisit issues I thought that I had put to bed and made me have to deal with them for real 100% and out in the open this time. So I felt like I had like a second coming out, you know, at this age, like 11 years since I acknowledged that I had feelings for a girl when I was 21. I'm 32 now. Um, you know, that especially that scene. I think the other scene that was most powerful for me was when you're talking to when Santana's talking to her grandmother, and you know she didn't get the acceptance. She got the acceptance from her parents, which we didn't see, but she didn't get the acceptance from her grandmother. And I feel like it's such a counterpoint to Kurt's dad and that coming out scene, like because Kurt's dad is like the best dad in on TV history for a gay son. Like he's just amazing. So I feel like I'm glad that like Santana's grandmother didn't approve. Like that her road was harder because I feel like being a minority, being a girl, and coming from like a Christian background, as we learned when she kept saying like, "Oh, Santana, eat your like Jesus on the cross." Like, oh, you already knew it wasn't gonna go well. Um, from that statement alone, you're like, "Oh crap, this isn't gonna go. This is not gonna go well for Santana at all." You know, you could feel it. You could know that was gonna happen. And like the way that I mean, everybody hates the woman who played Santana's grandmother, but I mean, to be quite honest with you, she did a great job. That's what she was supposed to do. We were supposed to hate and vilify her, and we were supposed to be heartbroken and crying when Santana realizes that her grandmother kicked her out of the house. You know, and I think the part or the impetus that made me really come to terms or make me be like I have to deal with these issues I've buried for so long is the speech she gave her grandmother about just being tired of feeling like every day's a war and that she's tired of fighting. She's like I just have to be me. And I feel like I came to that point where I was tired too. I was tired of fighting this war. I was tired of being one way with like to the world and then being this one way with my parents and just not speaking about my romantic life or situation. Like just completely like not like I talk about everything else, talk about work, talk about my friends, talking about my cousins, my brother, everything else in the world that was going on, but I refused to talk about that. And because I was still in denial over it or didn't really know how to bring it up and talk to them about it. And Santana gave me the strength to do it, to see her do it, and then to like not even. I mean, I'm not gonna say brush it off. you know, I'm sure she still hurts over the fact her grandmother kicked her out of the house. And then, you know, it was revisited when, what is it, Maribel? Is that the mom's name? I can't remember what Gloria Estefan's character's name is. When she just said, you know, Santana goes, I wish Abuela could, you know, be here or whatever. And then her mom was kind of like, yeah, well, that's her loss. Like, so I don't quite know. That must be her mother, I guess. Like, Santana's maternal grandmother. But, like, so the fact that her own mother was like, well, screw her. Like, if she doesn't want to accept you, then that's her loss. You know, like, that was awesome, too. That one little line that was fed to Gloria to say. So, anyway, I mean, I could go on and on how wonderful you are as a person, as a human being, as an actress. Um, but I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping save my life and getting me through a really dark period in my life. Um, and for being an inspiration for so many people. I just think about how progressive Glee is and how many barriers it's broken down just by being on air for now. One, two. This will be season 4, right? Yeah. Like, literally 3 years going on its fourth year, and like how wonderful and groundbreaking it has been to the gay, lesbian community. Even, well, what else? You don't haven't had transgender yet, but you had um Wade, so he was a cross dresser. um, Drag. So, I mean, you pretty much had everything. And the way that you've tackled these subjects and dealt with them is like not even just that, even teen pregnancy with alcohol, drinking, all of those, after school type special, series programs, how they dealt with sex. Like, it's wonderful. And I really wish when I was a teenager that I had a show like this. Like, I hope that Santana's storyline, most of all, I hope that it helps begin a dialogue that girls might not have been able to. I feel like that's what it did for me with my parents. Like, it gave me an in, sort of. Like, um, when I was watching the Hurt Locker scene, actually, my mom was sitting right across from me watching that scene, and I was flipping out in my head when I saw that because literally when anything gay like came on TV or anywhere, like I would automatically change the channel or I would do something else, like just because I was that uncomfortable with it, like which is completely ridiculous. But in my own head, like that's what I had to do to survive or to think. And so like, but my mom loves Glee because I got her hooked on the show because my mom loves music, loves singing, loves dancing, and then Glee is all that wrapped into one show, right? So I got her hooked on the show. So here we are watching the most like painful interaction of the whole freaking thing, besides the grandmother interaction, and I'm dying inside because in my head, I relate so much to Santana because I think of Brittany as Jess, and like it's right there on the screen. Pretty much everything that Santana said, I said to Jess, and pretty much what Brittany says back to Santana is what Jess said to me, and it was like, what the f am I watching right now? And I was freaking out. And I kept looking at my mom to see if she would have any reaction at all to this because I really don't think I've seen anything that was like lesbian like, related, gay like, in the 10 years since I came out to her on TV or anywhere. Like this, like, and even though at that moment I didn't use it as a tool to communicate, I kind of used it when I was ready to, like 6 months after the fact, after that episode, when I came out for a second time to my mother in November. So that was like, yeah, like 8, 9, whatever it was. Like I can't even keep track. That was like, and I did, and it was like, and it was fine. Like my my mother was completely fine with it, and was like, she literally said, "Wait, we've had this conversation before. Of course I know you're gay." And I'm like, "Wait, no, wait, that's not what I meant." And she goes, "Well, what did you mean?" And I was like, "No, I'm really gay. It's not a phase. I'm a lesbian." And she goes, "Wait, I know that." And and she's like, and like I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it never did, because she's like, and she's like, what's the, like, basically she's like, well, like I already know that. What are we doing right now? And I was like, well, I just wanted to make sure you knew. And then she's like, well, we both know. And then I'm like, we? What are you talking about? She's like, me and your father, we both know that you're gay, and it's okay, and we still love you. So that was my turn to start crying because I just lost it then. Because after for like 10, 11 years, I kept thinking that they would never accept me. I mean, I knew that they would love me unconditionally, but I didn't think they would accept it as quickly or like whatever. And my mom's like, Jen, we've had like 10 years to deal with this. We know, and it's fine. It's okay. We just want you to be happy, and if being with another woman will make you happy, then that's what we want for you. Or, or whatever. She's like, we accept it, and that's okay. And it was like the best conversation I've had with my mom ever in my life. And you know what? Santana was the impetus for it. So, Naya, thank you so much. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't stress enough how grateful I am to you, to the writers of Glee, to the show, for literally saving my life. Take care. God bless.